Uhuru Kenyatta, the person occupying State House currently, says there's no crisis in Kenya. He says opposition leader Raila Odinga had gone to London to look for mediators. He had gone to London to tell the world that there's a problem in Kenya and that we needed support from our friends to sort out that problem. But the president says there's no problem, that Kenya is a sovereign country, and on the 26th of this month, October 2017, we shall go to the polls and Kenya Kenyans shall elect their president. Now, the meeting where the president was saying this and where Deputy President William Ruto repeated more or less the same thing, I carefully looked at the body language of those who were standing behind them, around them, okay? And I did not see any confidence. I'll tell you what I saw. I saw uncertainty. I saw fear. I saw a lot of doubt. Yes. Yeah, you know, the body never lies, yeah? And that's what the body language was saying. In other words, at this meeting, the mouth was saying there's no problem in Kenya, but the bodies were saying there's a problem in Kenya. So who do you believe? Do you believe what comes out of the mouth of a politician, or do you believe their body language? Now, I'll not give you an answer to that question because I know there are a lot of Jubilee people who listen to this channel. So I just challenge them to go and look at that clip. Yes. Read the body language. Yes. Don't listen to the speech. Just read the body language, because the body never lies. That's how we were created by God. Okay, read the body language and then make your own decision. Whatever decision it is, you don't have to tell me, you can keep it to yourself. Okay, I think that would be the best thing. Now let's shift the scene to London, where NASA leader Raila Odinga arrived. Yes, and on the day he arrived, there was something very interesting going on, or rather, as he went to speak on his first day, on his first full day of activity in London, there was a very interesting scenario. Okay, there was a crowd of Jubilee supporters, those Kenyans based in London, who were screaming slogans like "Raila go home," "Raila is the problem," blah 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 blah, and they were protesting very loudly. And you know, which is their democratic right, yeah. Sadly, it's a democratic right which they're enjoying in a foreign country, yeah. Back home in their own country, that is no longer guaranteed democratic right, yeah. In fact, going by recent cases, if you happen to be in any place, anywhere near where there's a demonstration going on, you're at risk, okay. And this is not something to debate on. This is not something to say I'm spreading propaganda or telling lies. I just need to give you one example. A small 6-month baby called Baby Samantha was inside the house, in her parents' house, in the arms of the mother, and she was bludgeoned to death by policemen. I will not give any more examples because the whole idea here is not to drum up emotions, okay? The whole idea here is to coldly analyze, without any emotion or feelings, to just analyze the situation in Kenya as it is, the true situation in Kenya as it is today. So these Kenyans in London were enjoying a right that is no longer available in their home country. Or perhaps I need to rephrase that. They're enjoying a right that is partly available, actually it's selectively available in the home country, okay, because they can march and protest as long as they support the government. But if you happen to be on the opposition side, marching and protesting is a very risky affair. And even then, at the end of the day, you'll be accused of causing violence, of looting shops, etc., etc. On the same day, there was another group of Kenyans which later met with these Jubilee supporters. These were actually NASA supporters, okay? And they were shouting, "Uhuru must go." Very simple, Uhuru must go. Now later in the day, these two groups converged, yeah, and there was a shouting match between the two, yeah, and the foreigners, or rather foreigners as far as Kenya is concerned, these people, the locals in the United Kingdom, could be able to see very clearly that these are two groups from the same country, okay, and they're opposed to each other, yeah. I can imagine if somebody posed a question to a secessionist, yeah, they would have gotten the reply, no, these are just two countries, it's a matter of time, these are two countries. Those people shouting there are the Central Republic of Kenya, and these are the people who are louder, the People's Republic of Kenya. Wow, talk about washing your dirty underwear in a foreign country, eh? So maybe it would be a good idea to pose the same question to the locals in the United Kingdom and ask them, is there a problem in Kenya? What do you think? Yeah, you can guess what they'd answer. This is all deja vu for me, because I remember in 2008, actually early 2008, the government of Mwai Kibaki said that there was no need for mediation in Kenya. There was no problem in Kenya, okay? And at the time they were saying this, there was serious bloodletting going on in the Rift Valley, mostly, yeah? And the country was on the verge of a standstill, yeah? But Mwai Kibaki's government said there was no problem, okay? In fact, when the first batch of mediators arrived, it was said they had just come for a cup of tea. Yep, history always repeats itself again and again and again. But it's just that us humans ignore the history. Yeah, we ignore history for our own convenience. Okay, but the truth is, sooner or later that history catches up with us. Yes, and it is repeated. Okay, incidentally, the 2007 elections and the 2017 elections have a lot of similarities. Okay, bad similarities. Now, we have no idea what Raila Odinga said in his closed door meetings with various officials in the United Kingdom. Okay, so we cannot put words in his mouth. Yes, all we have are the statements which are released. Yes, which summarized what had been discussed. Okay, he just briefed him on the situation in the country. The UK regretted that Raila Odinga had withdrawn from the presidential race, but they also condemned the changing of laws so close to an election, etc., etc. But you know, in politics, what is released as a statement is just a tip of the iceberg. What was discussed in private is the real issue. Okay, and according to the person who occupies State House currently, Uhuru Kenyatta, he says that the whole idea was Raila had gone to call for mediators. He had gone to ask for help in mediating the situation in Kenya, in trying to sort out the big political crisis we find ourselves in Kenya. Okay, we don't know, yeah, but that's what the president says. Okay, so we have dealt with what the politicians are saying. Now let us let us roll up our sleeves. Let us do a bare knuckle analysis of exactly what the situation is on the ground, without fear, without favor, without any tribalism. Let us analyze exactly what is there on the ground as I make this recording. Okay, and we'll do that immediately after this short commercial break we're going to have. Yeah, I'll be back in a bit. Welcome back. Now we know that NASA would have a few problems campaigning in Central Province, in certain areas of Central Province. Yeah, that is rather obvious. Okay, and I'm not sure how well they'll be received in certain parts of the Rift Valley. Okay, but apart from those two areas, in a vast majority of other areas of the Republic of Kenya, NASA and their leader Raila Odinga, if they want to campaign, if they want to go out and talk to the people, will have no problem. Indeed, we have seen that, yeah, in the campaigns that have followed the nullification of the presidential election, which happened on 1st of September. We have seen in the few campaigns which NASA have done and the few campaigns which Jubilee have done, we've been able to analyze the situation quite accurately, I think. Yeah, and that is the position as far as NASA is concerned. Now let's move to Jubilee. Now Jubilee has no problem campaigning in its stronghold, which is of course Central Province. It has no problem in campaigning in most areas of the Rift Valley. Yeah, yes, that's another stronghold for the Jubilee Party. However, in any other areas outside those two areas, Jubilee has to make elaborate arrangements for a campaign. Let me just leave it at elaborate because I don't want to be controversial, okay? But let me just say elaborate arrangements have to be made for them to be able to campaign, yeah, and be heard by the crowd, okay? Because what we have seen in a number of Jubilee meetings is whereby the sound is muted in the recording or in the clip that comes out, yeah, but actually in the background there are shouts, okay, which means that whatever people are supporting Jubilee, there's some people strongly against the ruling party somewhere in the background, okay? That's the situation. Now that in itself should tell you a lot, okay, about the kind of support that Jubilee has, okay? But the Jubilee party still insists it's the most popular party. It still insists it has got widespread support right across the country, okay? It still insists that there are a lot of people crossing over to the Jubilee party and they're crossing over their supporters, yeah? And they predict they will win again, just like they won on August 8th, or so they say. Now, what is the way forward, okay? What's going to happen now in the next few days as we wait for the 26th, okay? Is there going to be an election on the 26th? Yeah, what will really happen, okay? Now, for the rest of this recording, I'd like to dwell on that very thorny issue that is bringing a lot of anxiety to Kenyans all over the world. Yeah, I'd like to address that head on. Now, radical support for the opposition NASA is on the rise. Yeah, and they have a lot to thank Jubilee, the Jubilee government, for that. Yeah, because the Jubilee government has really helped NASA to grow even more in popularity. Okay, how have they done this? They've done this by shooting protesters in Kisumu. Yeah. There were 3 dead people at least, yes, those whose bodies could be seen immediately and verified, yeah. But according to information I'm receiving on the ground, the numbers were higher than that, okay. I love children, and I'm sure many other Kenyans love children, okay. Therefore, when you hear that kindergarten, yeah, very small little babies, yeah, those little angels, yeah, was actually tear gassed, yes, and those small kids were injured, then you start to get my drift. Those are the kind of things that make NASA even more popular. Why do they make NASA more popular? Because they give the people a very clear illustration, a glimpse of what kind of government you are, what you're capable of, yeah, and how you're going to handle and run government and run the country, yes, after you're elected. That is a very clear picture. Okay. In my view, NASA have done the right thing withdrawing from the 26th October elections. Why? It should be pretty obvious. Okay. Actually, in my view, I've had a lot of people saying that, oh, you know, Raila made a mistake because now Bwana Eukot is in the elections. Yeah. My apologies, not Eukot. Ekuru Aukot. Yeah. Ekuru Aukot is in the election. And there are various other candidates who have been put in the election. Well, we have not heard from them. We don't know if they'll participate. But we have been told by the IEBC that they'll be on the ballot. Okay? So a lot of folks say, oh, Raila made a mistake because now, election will go on without him and the president will be elected, etc., etc. Now, assuming that Raila made a mistake, let's humor you for a bit, Assuming Raila made a mistake, yes, he has withdrawn from the election, yes, the election will go forward without him, yes, a president will be elected. Let's assume you're correct, okay? Would you rather go into an election where the results are already prearranged, Indeed, the results are already known before people go into the ballot? Would you go into such an election? Or would it be better for you to stay out of that election, Even if you stay out permanently, even if the election goes on and you're left out, isn't that better than getting cheated a second time, within a space of 2 months? Let's say 3 months rather, it should be pretty obvious that that was the right call, okay? Let's put aside the legal technicalities and so on and so forth. I mean, just common sense, that really NASA had no other choice, okay? But probably the most worrying thing here is that NASA this coming week are going to step up their campaigns, rather they're going to step up their protests, and the protests will now be daily on weekdays, each and every day of the week. And these protests are picking up momentum, despite the fact that there are so many risks in going to these protests because the police have proved to be very brutal, okay? But they're picking up in momentum, yes? So is there really a problem in Kenya or there isn't? Yes, this is one of the questions, you have to keep on asking, Anyway, in my humble view, in this kind of atmosphere, it is very difficult to see how an election will actually happen. Politically, with the opposition having widespread support across the country, it's difficult to see how an election, a constitutional, proper election can take place. Now, I'm well aware that the government has tentacles in each and every nook and cranny and corner of the Republic of Kenya. Therefore, it's very easy to send instructions and to get things done, yes, and they have the manpower, The government of Kenya is powerful, and it's everywhere. That's the truth. But then it's also true, NASA has also supporters everywhere, and where the government has maybe one chief or one official in a particular village, NASA will have scores, and in some places very many, So I don't know. This is going to be very tricky. And to make matters worse, we know that Jubilee is desperate, Why are they desperate? Because if we don't have elections on 26th of October, now we will really get into a constitutional crisis, And indeed, it will mean that the president has to vacate State House. There has to be some kind of negotiations for a caretaker government while the country organizes itself for elections. It will be a serious problem. So the government is going to do everything in its power, to make sure that the elections on the 26th, okay? But then another question arises. Will these elections be able to meet the threshold of the Constitution and the election laws? Will it be possible to run this election strictly, in strict adherence, as the Supreme Court ordered, to the Constitution? Will it really be possible in this kind of atmosphere? I don't think so. Already the IBC has done so many things which can be challenged in a court of law as being unconstitutional. The long and short of it, folks, is that we're in a serious crisis as a nation. Very serious. Okay? Because whichever way you look, problems. You look to the east, problems. West, south, north, problems. That's the kind of situation we're in. And that's the truth. And there's something else. Having desperate people in any situation is extremely dangerous. Because desperate people do desperate things. Okay? That is a serious danger in Kenya today. As we hurtle towards that 26th date. Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.